what the fuck happened here? It's just amazing how many people on the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala. Too.
Yeah, seriously. It's like insane.
Publicly, openly.
Joe Rogan has just uncovered something chilling about Sean Diddy Combs' case, and it's sending shockwaves through the entertainment world. What began as a discussion about Diddy's legal troubles has now opened the door to a vast network of influence that appears to reach the highest levels of power. Rogan may have stumbled onto something far bigger than he expected, and saying it out loud on his podcast could have been a risky move. As investigators dig deeper into Diddy's world, new questions are emerging about who is really pulling the strings. According to what was discussed on Rogan's podcast, this isn't just about one man's downfall. It's about an entire system that seems designed to protect certain powerful figures at all costs. Some names never appear to face scrutiny, and that's exactly what Rogan hinted might be the real issue. While Diddy sits behind bars awaiting trial, many people assume the story ends with him. But it doesn't. What Rogan and his guests discuss suggests that this web stretches far beyond the headlines and into the darkest corners of the entertainment and political elite, places most people never even consider. The connections run deep, far deeper than most realize. And if Rogan is right, Diddy's case may be just one piece of a massive, hidden structure of control. This revelation sent shockwaves across the internet. Rogan may have stepped on some very powerful toes by publicly discussing what many only whisper behind closed doors. And if what he suggested is true, some of the biggest names in Hollywood, politics, and business could all be tangled in the same web of influence that's now unraveling right before our eyes.
Well, Diddy's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get.
Think he's innocent, though?
I don't know. I don't even think it matters. I mean, it's a lot of it is.
But then it's just another Epstein. It's another Ghislaine Maxwell, where somebody gets indicted and nobody else indicted for trafficking kids to
right
no
to
one.
To no one. Right. We're like, what is the next crazy thing that's going to explode in the news? Is Bill Clinton's going to have an OnlyFans? Like, what is going to happen? What is the next thing that's going to make us all go, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on?
It's coming.
Like, you know, how many guys were on video saying, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party"? How many people like openly talked about being there?
LeBron?
Yeah, how about Ashton Kutcher? All these people. Like, you guys all went, you didn't see nothing?
Before diving into who's truly running the show behind all of this, it's important to understand what Sean Diddy Combs is actually being accused of, because without that context, the rest of the story doesn't make sense. At the moment, Diddy is sitting in jail after being hit with major federal charges that stunned the entire industry. Prosecutors allege that he used his fame, power, and influence to manipulate and exploit people who trusted him. Even darker are the alleged private events described by insiders, exclusive gatherings where celebrities were supposedly drugged and secretly recorded without their knowledge. That's terrifying to imagine. Think about it. You attend what looks like a glamorous party, only to discover that, behind the scenes, someone is using that night to gain control over you. Reports suggest that more than 120 individuals have since come forward with accusations, painting a deeply disturbing picture of what may have been happening behind closed doors. Early reports even mentioned possible underage victims. Official investigations are still ongoing, and authorities continue to sort out what's factual versus what may be exaggerated, as no final verdict has yet been reached. The controversy intensified after 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, The Reckoning, was released, pulling no punches and shining a harsh spotlight on the situation. But here's what many people still don't realize. Diddy may not have been the one running the show at the very top. According to discussions on Joe Rogan's podcast, there could be even bigger names pulling strings from the shadows. And connecting those dots could expose something far larger than anyone expected. When Rogan brought up Jeffrey Epstein during the conversation, the atmosphere shifted instantly. The similarities between Epstein's operation and what's being alleged about Diddy became impossible to ignore. One of Rogan's guests asked a chilling question: is Diddy going to sing? Essentially wondering whether he might start exposing everyone else involved. That's when Rogan's point came into sharp focus. He highlighted a disturbing pattern that made everyone uncomfortable. Just like in the Epstein case, one person gets charged for trafficking, yet no one else connected to them ever seems to face justice. Epstein was convicted, but according to official court records, no recipients were ever named. The same goes for Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of trafficking, but trafficking to whom? That gap in accountability makes no sense. It's almost as if there's an unspoken rulebook for how power protects itself. Rogan suggested that the same silence may be happening all over again. A major figure falls while everyone in their circle walks away untouched. It's like watching the same movie on repeat, and no one in power wants to acknowledge it. Then Rogan began naming names, mentioning LeBron James, Ashton Kutcher, and other major celebrities who, years ago, openly talked about attending Diddy's legendary parties. He questioned why no one from those circles speaks up now. Rogan asked the question many are too afraid to say out loud. You all went, so you didn't see anything? That silence has left fans wondering whether these figures genuinely knew nothing or whether they're staying quiet for a reason. Either way, the question completely changed the tone of the conversation. At this point, there's no pretending this is just another celebrity scandal. Now comes the most controversial part. Some insiders quietly refer to a real power player as the emperor. If Sean Diddy Combs was the king of his own empire, then Sir Lucian Charles Grainge, CEO of Universal Music Group, may be the one sitting above it all, pulling strings from behind the curtain. Grainge's influence in the music industry is enormous, on a level most people can barely comprehend. Things took a shocking turn when his name surfaced in connection with the Lil Rod lawsuit, a case that hinted at something much deeper. A theory that major record labels, especially giants like Universal Music Group, don't just create stars. They build systems that allow industry moguls to operate without accountability. Some insiders have even described these corporate structures as protection networks designed to shield powerful figures when scandals begin to surface. And when certain legal documents leaked, the details were jaw-dropping. They didn't just raise questions, they painted a picture of how deep this web may truly go, revealing how money, control, and silence all seem to flow in one direction, straight to the top.
I never thought these words would come out my mouth, but Candace Owens is onto something, and that did not feel comfortable at all. So Candace says the reason mainstream news is not picking up this lawsuit, is not paying attention to Diddy at all, is because of this man right here, Lucian Grainge. He is one of the most powerful men in Hollywood and music. And he been up in Diddy's room. So this man right here is Sir Lucian Charles Grainge. He's been the CEO of Universal Music Group since 2010, so you know he done seen some shit. So I had to go to the damn documents. I had to see if this man was actually named, and he is. As you can see, it says Lucian Charles Grainge, and it also says Universal Music Group. On top of that, it says Ethiopia. I cannot fuck up her last name. I refuse to. But she was also a big person in Universal Music Group. And then Christina Coramham, Lord forgive. But she was like Diddy's second hand.
According to the lawsuit, Sir Lucian Charles Grainge wasn't just aware of Sean Diddy Combs' notorious parties. It alleges that he actually sponsored some of them and even attended multiple gatherings hosted at Diddy's Los Angeles mansion. These are serious accusations. The legal documents claim that the events featured explicit entertainers and include disturbing reports of underage attendees. Such allegations have sent shockwaves through both the music and entertainment industries. The lawsuit further suggests that Grainge either knew, or absolutely should have known, what was happening behind those walls. It goes even further, alleging that guests were unknowingly drugged through drinks spiked with Diddy's own liquor brands, De Leon Tequila and Ciroc Vodka. That detail alone stunned many observers. The idea that something so public could carry such dark allegations sounds like the plot of a crime documentary. Commentator Candace Owens spoke out about the situation, drawing attention to what she described as near silence from major news outlets. She argued that the lack of coverage may stem from Grainge's immense influence over the entertainment world. As CEO of Universal Music Group, his reach extends far beyond music and into media itself, giving him extraordinary control over which stories gain traction and which quietly disappear. The lawsuit doesn't stop there. It also names Ethiopia Habtemariam and Christina Coram, both executives connected to Universal Music Group, pulling even more powerful industry figures into this growing storm. According to the court documents, everyone named allegedly knew what was happening. They witnessed it. They were present. And yet, Not a single person intervened to stop it. Why? Because in the world of major record labels, power and profit often go hand in hand. These executives control the money, and with it, the narrative. They decide which scandals get buried and which ones get reshaped to protect billion-dollar brands that keep the industry running. It's cold, calculated, and deeply disturbing. This may also explain why major outlets like CNN and Fox News have remained largely silent. When the people involved have the power to shape headlines, it's no surprise that certain stories never see the light of day. The control runs deeper than most realize. This isn't just about music, it's about influence, image, and protecting the empire at any cost. And when it comes to Diddy's inner circle, one name continues to surface: Jay-Z. Their relationship wasn't just business, it was brotherhood. Diddy once revealed that only 2 people in the world were allowed to call him by his real name: Sean, his mother, and Jay-Z. That small detail speaks volumes about how close they truly were, and it raises questions about what Jay-Z may have seen behind the scenes during years of friendship and collaboration.
During those years of friendship and collaboration.
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside of family.
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
They should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
Jaguar Wright. If you're not familiar with her, she's known for speaking the truth without holding anything back. She sat down for an interview with Piers Morgan and dropped a series of explosive claims about Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs. But here's where things get strange. That entire episode practically vanished. It was scrubbed from the internet not long after it aired, becoming nearly impossible to find. That kind of disappearance always raises eyebrows, because if there's truly nothing to hide, why erase it so quickly? During that intense conversation, Wright raised a question that has circulated within the industry for years. How is it that Jay-Z can sit down for high-profile interviews, like the one he did with Gayle King, and never be asked about the most controversial rumors or his ties to powerful figures? She didn't hold back. Wright openly called both Diddy and Jay-Z monsters, claiming their influence has suffocated the industry for decades. That statement alone sent shockwaves across social media. Then came another twist. People began noticing that Jay-Z's personal, high-profile attorney had quietly stepped into Diddy's growing legal chaos. Fans and insiders immediately began asking the obvious questions. Was it a coincidence, a connection, or something much larger happening behind the scenes? In this industry, moves like that rarely happen by accident. For his part, Jay-Z has never publicly addressed these claims or rumors. And in today's world, that kind of silence often speaks volumes. Joe Rogan has commented on this pattern before, pointing out that elite figures rarely handle scandals directly. Instead, they rely on fixers, top-tier lawyers, and public relations teams to make problems disappear before the public ever catches on. When you start connecting the dots, from the missing interview to the legal overlaps, the bigger picture becomes far more complicated than it first appeared. Ever heard of Alan Grubman? Probably not, and that's exactly how he likes it. He's one of the most powerful attorneys in the entertainment industry, quietly representing everyone from Diddy to Bruce Springsteen. Grubman isn't just a lawyer, he's a gatekeeper. A key link connecting some of the biggest names in music, media, and politics. Behind closed doors, he and others like him form what insiders often call the silent circle, industry elites who operate out of sight yet pull many of the major strings. These are the people who draft airtight NDAs that keep victims silent for decades. They don't just protect individual clients, they protect an entire system. In this world, information is power. And those who control it sit at the very top of the food chain. If they decide your story won't be told, then it simply won't, no matter how shocking or how true it might be. Joe Rogan has often drawn comparisons to this kind of secrecy during conversations with former CIA officer Mike Baker. Together, they've discussed how Diddy's alleged freak-offs echo patterns seen in Jeffrey Epstein's operation, not necessarily identical in detail, but disturbingly similar in structure. The theory isn't that Diddy masterminded everything on his own. It's that he may have been a facilitator, someone positioned to entertain, host, and allegedly record powerful figures while providing the setting for something much larger. And that's the part that makes people uneasy. If Diddy really was recording these private gatherings, as some federal documents claim, the real question becomes, who were those recordings for? Who wanted them and why? Some investigators believe the answer lies with those above him, the hidden names in legal filings, the politicians, CEOs, and elite figures who allegedly treated Diddy's world like their own private playground.
Treated Diddy's world like their own private playground.
Between Diddy and Epstein, it's good. There's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should say, I think you voted for Biden.
I'd like to see a matchup of those, quote, the top 100 puppet masters on the Epstein client list.
Do you think there's some overlap?
Strong overlap. Strong overlap.
When are we going to see that list, do you think?
I don't know.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
You know, I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes.
Reports claim there could be thousands of hours of footage, not just from Sean Diddy Combs' infamous parties, but possibly connected to Jeffrey Epstein's alleged archive of tapes as well. If that turns out to be true, it points to something far more massive than anyone initially imagined, a blackmail network that may have stretched across decades and multiple industries. This is no longer just celebrity gossip. It's the kind of operation designed to keep powerful people silent, compliant, and controlled for years. During one episode of Joe Rogan's podcast, even Elon Musk appeared to hint at this possibility. He suggested that the reason some political figures receive massive financial backing from billionaires might not be loyalty at all. It might be fear. According to Musk, many members of the elite are terrified that if the wrong people gain control, certain lists could begin to leak. Lists like the Epstein client list, or what's now being quietly referred to as the Diddy party list. That idea alone sent shockwaves through online communities. Names such as Reid Hoffman and Bill Gates were mentioned as examples of high-profile individuals who could have serious reasons to worry if alleged recordings or guest lists ever surfaced. And when Rogan asked Musk directly whether Hoffman seemed nervous about the situation, Elon's response was chillingly brief.
It might have been the difference between Diddy parties and freak-offs. Oh, my God.
They're giving him shit, too, because he's sitting in his
the guy from Chappelle Show?
Yeah.
And then Dave's there, too, and then Russell Simmons, too. Oh, boy. But is that at a party, or is that just a group of them together?
They were, like, on a yacht or something like that.
Okay, but that's not the Diddy party.
No, yeah. It's not like they were, like, at a
I think.
You think Diddy was rogue, or Diddy was like a Epstein type? It's working for somebody.
That's a good question. Well, it would be a great way to compromise celebrities. Yeah.
Yep.
And get them to say whatever you want them to do, get them to do whatever projects you'd like them to do. And, you know, if you're a bunch of other celebrities are there, you're like, oh, look, Bill Clinton's here. This is fine.
Yeah.
This is cool. Look at this. Like, Brad Pitt's here. Oh, this is cool. You don't even think there's anything wrong with being there.
This is what people are now calling the facilitator model. And it's one of the most disturbing.
This is what people are now calling the facilitator model, and it's one of the most disturbing patterns to emerge from these investigations. Figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs allegedly created safe zones for the elite, private environments where powerful individuals could operate without public scrutiny. But here's the catch. Those gatherings weren't just parties. They were traps, hidden cameras, secret recordings, total control. Everything was allegedly designed to collect leverage on some of the most influential people in the world. Joe Rogan explained it in a way that hit hard. He said, if this wasn't an intelligence agency operation, then it's one incredibly evil genius who figured out how to compromise everyone. Think about that. Guests were reportedly told to put their phones away and reassured that nothing would ever leave those walls. Yet behind the scenes, cameras were allegedly rolling the entire time, every movement, every conversation, permanently captured. That isn't luxury. That's manipulation at the highest level. Then Rogan asked the question that changes everything. Was Diddy acting on his own, or was he operating under someone else's direction? Or worse, did he simply lose control of the empire he helped build? If he wasn't the mastermind, then who was? During that same conversation, Elon Musk even mentioned Jennifer Lopez, not politically, but in terms of credibility. His point was direct. If people close to Diddy, like J. Lo, who dated him and attended countless events by his side, saw what was happening, why did no one speak up? Where were the warnings? The red flags? The public concern? The uncomfortable answer Musk hinted at was simple. There were none. No one said a word, and that silence may be the most haunting part of this entire story. It suggests that those closest to Diddy either looked the other way or were too afraid to speak. If someone was that deeply embedded in the inner circle and never raised the alarm, what does that really say? There are only two possibilities. Either they truly had no idea what was happening, which many find hard to believe, or they knew something and chose to stay silent. And if they stayed silent, why? Fear? Loyalty? Protecting their image? Or protecting someone even more powerful sitting above it all? These are the questions people are now demanding answers to. When federal agents raided Diddy's homes, reports claim they seized thousands of hours of footage, not just a handful of recordings, but thousands. That kind of material doesn't exist by accident. Commentators like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have both suggested that this footage wasn't created solely for blackmail. It was insurance, a system that kept people in line without a single direct threat ever being made. The message was clear: once you're on camera, you're owned forever. Now, whispers inside industry circles suggest those tapes may be quietly changing hands, and that possibility has triggered outright panic across Hollywood and beyond. Some of the biggest names in music, film, and politics are reportedly terrified about what might be on those recordings and, more importantly, who controls them now. Megyn Kelly made a chilling observation amid all of this. She pointed out that Diddy hasn't even been charged over the disturbing video showing him assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway. If something that clear, that public, hasn't been prosecuted, what else is being shielded behind the scenes? What's being hidden from the public eye that's far worse than what we've already seen? These are the questions no one wants to answer. Who controls those videos now? What's actually captured on them? And what would happen if even a fraction of that footage were ever leaked? Because if those tapes truly exist, they wouldn't just damage reputations, they could shake the entertainment industry to its core and expose secrets that were never meant to see the light of day. And maybe the most unsettling part of this entire story isn't what has already come out. It's what's still being hidden. When cameras are banned, interviews disappear, and secrets are quietly traded behind closed doors, it raises one terrifying possibility. The truth may be far darker than anyone is prepared to face. At that point, you have to wonder who's really in control, who's holding the remote that decides what the world gets to see and what stays buried forever. One moment that left viewers stunned came straight from 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, The Reckoning. In one scene, the image of Bishop T.D. Jakes flashes on screen at the exact moment the narration references Sean Diddy Combs' controversial parties. People online noticed immediately. Many fans believe it was no coincidence at all. They think 50 Cent was sending a coded message, hinting at connections that haven't yet been openly discussed. When Bishop T.D. Jakes was later asked about these rumors, his response only added fuel to the fire. Instead of directly denying any involvement, he reportedly said, "Keep it moving." That alone sent the internet buzzing. He then followed it up with a statement that pushed social media into chaos, saying that even if something like that were true, repentance could cover all sins, while adding that he personally didn't need to repent. To many, that didn't sound like confidence. It sounded like avoidance. Rather than shutting the question down, his words gave the impression that he was sidestepping it altogether. That choice of language caused the situation to explode online, with many feeling it raised more questions than it answered. Jaguar Wright quickly entered the conversation, claiming that if Bishop Jakes truly had ties to Diddy's inner social circles, there could only be two explanations: money or access. She described these secret gatherings as leverage zones, exclusive spaces where influence wasn't just traded, it was collected. Later, that influence could be used as quiet power, the kind that doesn't rely on threats or proof, only silence from everyone who was present. Former bodyguard Gene Deal didn't hold back when he began raising serious questions of his own. He asked what many people were already thinking: why would a respected religious figure even be seen near gatherings insiders have described as anything but clean? That question alone caused many to reevaluate everything. Gene Deal also hinted that he's heard quiet talk about tapes, recordings that could still exist, waiting to surface. And if those ever see the light of day, he said, the conversation won't be about rumors anymore. It will be about proof, real, undeniable proof that could shake the entire entertainment industry to its core. Some investigators have even started mapping out these alleged connections like a pyramid. And when you view it that way, it's genuinely unsettling. At the base are major names like Jay-Z and Beyoncé, powerful, unquestionably influential figures, yet according to some analysts, still answering to higher forces operating behind the scenes. To many, that didn't sound like confidence. It sounded like avoidance. Rather than shutting the question down, his words gave the impression that he was sidestepping it altogether. That choice of language caused the situation to explode online, with many feeling it raised more questions than it answered. Since late 2025, investigations surrounding Diddy, Universal Music Group, and several high-profile entertainment executives have reportedly expanded, with federal prosecutors reviewing financial links tied to offshore accounts and corporate partners once believed to be untouchable. Sean Diddy Combs continues to face multiple civil lawsuits related to sexual assault and trafficking allegations, several of which have been formally filed in New York and California. As of early 2026, investigators are reportedly uncovering new evidence that could tie Diddy's businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment and De Leon Tequila, to potential money laundering activity. None of this has been proven, but the paper trail is extensive and has reportedly drawn the attention of both the IRS and federal agents previously involved in tracking Jeffrey Epstein's financial networks. Meanwhile, Universal Music Group has faced increasing scrutiny over its business practices, particularly after Ethiopia Habtemariam stepped down from Motown Records in 2024 and questions emerged about how certain contracts were handled during her leadership. Sir Lucian Grainge, who remains CEO, has publicly denied any connection to Diddy's alleged crimes, but the continued silence from other executives has only fueled public suspicion. Then there's Jay-Z, who has come under growing scrutiny after journalist and commentator Candace Owens publicly challenged him to address his long-standing association with Diddy during a 2025 interview series. While Jay-Z has not been accused of any crime, online investigators have relentlessly connected dots between his Roc Nation empire, political donations, and entertainment power moves that mirror the same control pyramid pattern now being widely questioned. Even Joe Rogan has revisited the topic on the Joe Rogan Experience, inviting investigative journalists to discuss how celebrity power networks intersect with political influence. Rogan's latest warning was blunt. What's been happening behind closed doors for decades is beginning to surface, and not everyone is ready for it. If that's true, then this story is no longer just about Diddy. It's about a system that may finally be starting to crack, and a truth that's clawing its way out from beneath years of silence and control. What we're witnessing now feels like the aftermath of decades of secrets finally beginning to surface. The entertainment world has entered a new era, one where silence no longer guarantees protection. Since early 2026, multiple agencies, including the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, have reportedly expanded their investigations into alleged trafficking networks intersecting with the music and entertainment industries. While many details remain sealed, public filings confirm that federal investigators have requested new warrants tied to Sean Diddy Combs' business associates and former employees, signaling that the case is far from over. In December 2025, Several major media outlets, including Rolling Stone and The Guardian, published verified reports detailing how federal raids on Diddy's Miami and Los Angeles properties led to the recovery of extensive digital evidence, including encrypted hard drives and security footage. Authorities have not confirmed the contents of those files, but the involvement of multiple federal agencies underscores just how serious this case has become. At the same time, Diddy's former partners, including executives from Bad Boy Records and event coordinators, have reportedly begun cooperating with law enforcement. According to public court filings reviewed by NBC News, at least 3 individuals have provided statements describing a pattern of coercion, intimidation, and hush agreements connected to Diddy's events. These documents have reshaped public perception of early 2000s celebrity party culture, exposing how power and image often concealed darker realities. The ripple effects don't stop there. Universal Music Group, already under scrutiny due to its ties to artists facing lawsuits, is now facing renewed questions about internal accountability. In early 2026, a former legal consultant for the company told Variety that entertainment empires have spent decades perfecting the art of plausible deniability. That statement ignited social media, reinforcing long-held suspicions that some of the largest corporations in music knew far more than they ever publicly admitted. Meanwhile, survivor advocates are calling this a turning point. Legal experts suggest that 2026 could become a defining year for accountability in entertainment, not just for individuals, but for entire systems that allowed abuse to flourish unchecked. The public is demanding transparency, and this time, the walls protecting the elite appear to be genuinely cracking. By 2026, a story that began with whispers surrounding Sean Diddy Combs has evolved into one of the most significant reckonings the entertainment industry has ever faced. What's unfolding now is no longer just about one man's downfall, it's about a system being forced into the light. Real-world consequences are finally reaching powerful figures and major corporations, suggesting that the era of silence and immunity may be coming to an end. In January 2026, the New York Times confirmed that federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York had merged aspects of the ongoing Diddy investigation with broader inquiries into human trafficking, racketeering, and financial misconduct within entertainment circles. Court records indicate that agents are cross-referencing evidence seized during the raids with data tied to offshore accounts and communication logs linked to multiple entertainment executives, clear signs that the probe extends well beyond Diddy's inner circle. At the same time, civil lawsuits against Diddy continue to mount, including several filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act before it expired in late 2023. Reported by CNN and NBC News, these cases accuse him of sexual assault, coercion, and physical abuse, allegations he has publicly denied. Still, growing testimony from former associates, security staff, and industry insiders paints an increasingly damning picture of what was once considered an untouchable empire. New investigations are also spreading into other corners of Hollywood. In February 2026, The Hollywood Reporter revealed that the FBI and the Department of Labor began auditing event management firms and label-affiliated foundations tied to celebrity charity events from the early to mid-2000s. Many sponsored by major record labels, including subsidiaries of Universal Music Group. Officials are examining whether some of these high-profile events doubled as fronts for money laundering or illicit recruitment. The ripple effect continues to widen. Media watchdogs such as ProPublica and The Intercept have launched independent investigations into how major media companies allegedly suppressed coverage of misconduct involving prominent artists and executives for years. Former producers from major news networks have even come forward, admitting that certain names were considered off-limits when it came to investigative reporting. What's happening now feels like the collapse of a long-protected facade, years of silence, finally giving way to scrutiny, accountability, and exposure. All of this proves one thing: the foundation of celebrity power is shifting rapidly. What was once hidden behind fame, wealth, and airtight NDAs is now being dissected in courtrooms, boardrooms, and live news feeds. The facade is cracking, and for the first time in decades, accountability is beginning to catch up with influence. If you thought this story was intense, trust me, the next one goes even deeper. We're diving into an entirely new investigation that uncovers shocking truths about people you likely never imagined could be involved in something like this. The layers of power, secrecy, and manipulation only grow darker from here. So click on the next video now and see just how deep the next rabbit hole really goes. But before you do, we want to hear from you. After everything uncovered in this video, do you believe these massive industries are finally facing real accountability? Or is this just another moment where the truth gets buried once the headlines fade? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you think, because this conversation is far from over.